Welcome to the Live Tonight with ASOTU, presented by TrueCar. Featuring your hosts, Paul J. Daly and Kyle Mountseer. An amazing lineup of guests including Eric Barbosa, Jay Nieman, Chris Singleton, Stephanie Brogan, Eric Hall, and more. Music by Al Kutri and the Troublemakers. And the voice of Automotive, me, Michael Cirillo. And now please welcome your hosts, Paul J. Daly and Kyle Mountseer.
So much for joining us this evening, but before we get started, we wanted to thank our presenting sponsor, TrueCar, the modern marketplace that makes buying and selling cars easier for everyone.
And thank you so much to Car Offer for helping us with our hospitality, welcoming guests in, and making all of this possible at the live location. Paul, also, how about the guest list that was just read off? I mean, I'm pumped for the convos we get to have tonight. I'm just going to be locked into those. And let's not forget the ASOTU community who came to be a part of the live studio audience and those of you joining us on the live stream across the country.
And how about this band, ladies and gentlemen? This is Al Kutri and the Troublemakers. Yes. Well, for anyone who may not know us, we are the Beards and the Flat Brims who head up the Automotive State of the Union, and this is Live Tonight with ASOTU.
Hey.
You see, we have this crazy idea that car dealerships are full of people that truly love people more than they love cars. Thanks to one of our favorite dealers, Liza Borges, for giving us that phrase. And it's more than a crazy idea. It's the reality that we see, feel, and participate in every day. We've been working alongside, connecting with 10,000s probably.
10,000.
In this great industry for decades, and we see the leadership and the compassion and the care being unleashed in communities in every corner of this great country.
Yeah, so we know there are some bad actors out there, and like any industry, honestly, but we're fed up with them getting all the press.
That's right.
So we want to celebrate sales departments, service lanes, and body shops. And we know, like, they're not doing the thing that so much of other industries are doing, laying people off.
Nope.
Actually, what they're doing is hiring. And more than hiring, they're offering amazing opportunities to everyone who wants to be a part of this family. There's countless examples that there's no ceiling in the retail auto industry, and there's even no floor.
Nope. So if you're willing to work hard, serve people, and have a little fun along the way, we promise there is a place for you here. Yeah. So whether you work in the industry or are an everyday consumer who found your way in these theater doors or onto this live stream, we're so glad you're here, and we hope to keep you smiling, dancing, and believing just a little bit more in what we can accomplish together.
All right. Well, all that said, everyone who knows us knows we love jamming on some recent news, and boy,
yes, we do.
Has Q1 delivered.
Hasn't been boring.
Now, it wouldn't take a Google research assistant to tell you that words like bank, currency, writing, they've taken a Texas beating recently.
What's that?
It's kind of like a normal beating, just way bigger.
Yeah, of course. Oh, Kyle, did you know that GM has been working with Google for a few years to develop their infotainment system? Yeah, but not just that. They also recently dropped Apple CarPlay like Elon Musk dropped New York Times blue check mark on Twitter last week.
And more on some dropping. Seems like some bank stocks are doing their part as well.
True.
It's weird enough to hear about one bank suddenly collapsing, but if we had a nickel for every bank that has failed in 23, we'd have a dime. That's not a lot of money to hold on to, kind of like our friends at SVB.
Oh, man. Well, believe it or not, we wrote that joke on our own. But it was tempting to ask ChatGPT to write us some jokes that we could take credit for. Instead, we'll just leave this one it wrote. So ChatGPT wrote this joke, and we're going to leave it with you. A car sales manager was sitting at his desk watching the salespeople on the showroom floor when he noticed a new salesperson struggling with a potential customer.
Okay.
So the sales manager leans over to the more experienced salesperson and says, you know, it's funny, I've been in this business for 20 years, and I have never once had to leave my desk to close a deal.
Sounds about right.
Well, the experienced salesperson nodded and replied, well, that's true, but don't you think it's time you learned how to sell a car?
Oh,
We got some reaction of the crowd on that one.
Yeah, we got a
Listen, we
little
didn't write
ooh
that.
in
There's
the crowd.
ChatGPT. Send the hate mail to ChatGPT.
We also asked ChatGPT to write this. We wanted to know how used car prices have been the last few months, and it had this to say. It said, Kingda Ka is the tallest and fastest roller coaster in North America.
It is.
Which we found strange as a lead.
Yeah.
And then it said, the second tallest is the price of any low mileage vehicle under 20 years old.
That's true. That's true.
Up and down.
And how about all this talk about EVs? In the last few weeks, we've read about ICE bans on ICE bans, and automakers going all in on the electrified future, which somehow translates to hitting 50% all-electrical vehicle sales somewhere between 2030 and 2040.
Wide gap.
So when you try to compute that and do the math, it's like going all in on a poker game, but still saving half of your chips so you get to keep playing, right? It doesn't really
But hey. Good news is President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act is going to save us all.
Oh, is
right?
it?
Right? Yeah. Just as soon as somebody finishes reading the whole thing.
Oh, that'll probably be about the same time he finishes falling up those airplane stairs.
Got him.
Mr. Cirillo,
Hey, fellas.
we're
at
sending
this
all
guy.
You
the
know
hate
what
mail to you.
You know what I feel like over here, sitting over here? I feel like
In
I
charge?
was part of the troublemakers, maybe like the accordion player, and none of them have the guts to actually cut me from the band. So they're like, "You go sit over
He's
there."
so nice. He's so nice.
That's how I feel over here.
Kendall, would you let him sing? I don't know.
Oh, anytime.
I can rip a
Anytime.
polka.
I heard you earlier.
Come on,
Can rip
man.
more than that.
Give it more than that. You excited about the show tonight?
Oh man, I'm excited. Look at this setup. I mean, we've kicked things up a notch.
I think so.
We took it up.
That's kind of how we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't come to bunt.
We never
You don't
come to
what?
one.
Swing for the fence.
Oh,
There's
you
a
swim-
few other people that didn't come to Mutt too, and they're all talking about a certain year.
They are. So, with technology moving as quickly as it is, everyone is anxious to know what is in store for the future. But ladies and gentlemen, you are in luck tonight. We can't disclose how, but we have inside knowledge about the year 2030.
In the year 2030, in the year 2030.
In the year 2030, TikTok is banned, Twitter is a wasteland, and the metaverse is still going to catch on any day now. So close.
In the year 2030.
Every single car manufacturer is a battery maker. And every battery maker is a mining company. And every mining company pays its workers in Bitcoin mined using solar-powered computers in Antarctica. Greta Thunberg would be so proud.
How dare you?
In the year 2030. Your car's extended warranty is about to expire. But don't worry. It will only take 50 Amazon gift cards to extend it. All we need is the codes on the back. In the year 2030.
Elon Musk sells Twitter to buy Mars. However, due to a legal misunderstanding, he purchases the candy company and not the planet.
Oh.
In the year 2030.
Mr. Beast, the famed YouTuber, marries a woman named Belle, just so he has an excuse to buy a castle. He pays all of his friends millions to stay dressed up like furniture and dishes.
In the year 2030. You know what we find out in 2030? We finally find out. Who let the dogs out? Ooh, ooh, ooh. Who let the dogs out? Ooh, That was a full commit, man. That was a full send.
You
Bam!
just go all the way. Just send it. Send it. All right, our first guest tonight started working with cars when he was just 16 years old. He quickly worked his way from detailing cars to becoming one of the youngest GM and operating partners in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Eric Barbosa.
I know it's a long
says
couch,
it's
but
nice.
you can't lay down. You can't get sleepy on that.
If you do, we're going to just really start diving deep into your childhood. We don't just sing and dance.
That's wrong.
We're amateur psychiatrists. Thank you so much for joining us today, making the trip, coming here to be on the couch, on the live stream in front of these great folks.
Awesome.
So tell us, you recently made a transition in your career?
I did.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
Went from managing partner of a few stores in Madisonville, Texas, to now being the VP of variable operations for the Cavender Auto Group, which is a 4G group, fourth generation.
Wow, awesome. And the Cavender Group just bunch of lift. You've got to be taking credit for the new lift on the top 150 group, I'm sure, right? I know you've only been there a couple months, but that's got to be all due to you, right?
No, absolutely not.
No,
Not at all. Yeah.
Well, so you've obviously done a lot across your career, and people have probably seen you on social media and seen you talking about not just operations, but content and everything and people and everything in between. As you approach kind of new challenges in a new group, what's exciting to you right now about getting into a new group and entering new challenges and bringing your energy to that group?
First is growth. Just growing, going from 3 domestic brands to going to 10 brands, from a smaller town in this country to metroplex stores that don't have any general managers. So that's different.
Huh.
So to be at that level and then have the team, Kobe Joyner, Tony Hand, Dale Aaron, which is the other VP team, plus having the G4s, which is Rob Cavender, WB, and Lee. It's just it's different. I've never been part of anything like that. Usually it's managing partner, GM, and then the structure down there. So this is going to be different. I'm excited about it.
How would you explain the difference, right? Like if you unpack that a little bit, because there's so many different models across auto dealers, right?
Yep.
So you say it's different. Fourth generation, obviously, that's usually one or two generations more than we usually see. 4 is a lot, but how do you quantify different?
Well, previously with corporations, I've been private and corporations, they're just, I was having this conversation with Cyril earlier, and the culture. Going into a 4G group is different. A lot of people talk about culture, say that have it, and then they walk into a place like that and it's ingrained. It's there. You can't move it. It's Cavender all the way, and that's one of the things that is just completely different. Not used to that.
Yeah, that culture being ingrained, walking into something like that is both exciting and also challenging, right? Because there's integrating into it, but also it's exciting because it's something that you get to continually implement within. What are some of the things that as a group right now in 2023, back in December when we had our last event like this, there was just a lot of uncertainty about what 2023 was going to be, and it's shaping up at this point.
Yep.
So what initiatives are you all working on that are really important to your success this year?
I think is mindset first. We were talking about that with, again, somebody else earlier this morning or today was the doom and gloom of what's going to happen in 2023, 2024. We hear that all the time. I've been in the business 23 years, and it seems like every 3 years or 4 years something's falling apart. Is staying focused, being prepared, teaching the teams that you have, and then making sure that if you have a plan, stick to it and go execute. And personally for us, is not paying attention to what everybody else is doing. Build our plan and go execute that plan.
So, dealers like to learn from other dealers,
Yep.
right? And I think the best dealers share some of their operational playbook
Yep.
so that other dealers can grow because, we're really just standing on the backs of other people that did that for us.
Yep.
So, I know you have some plans. What are the 1 or 2 things that you think, broadly speaking, that you can give to other dealers, other operators that are paying attention to this program? Because you've always kind of thought over the horizon. So what are one or two things you can share with us?
I mean, two things. I'm big on hiring women, and I know that's one of those topics, but I had a lot of success. We were balanced at almost 50%,
Wow.
which is really unheard of in our industry. Well, why? It's taking a different approach on how you're recruiting, not putting those old, I say old, or traditional thinkings of, you got to work bell to bell, commission only, low salaries. Open that up a little bit. You'll get different talent. The other thing is really digging into making your variable and your fixed operations work together.
Yeah.
Making them more of an experience together for the consumer, opposed to these teams or departments that are kind of at each other's throats all day, right?
Yeah.
So
what are some practical steps? Because that's something that, as I was in the retail side of the business, there are some dealerships that are absolutely great at, and some that it's a constant fight between fixed ops and variable ops, being service and sales, right? What are some practical, like one or two things that you can inspect or implement that make sure that those barriers are broken down?
one thing we did with our previous group is we had meetings with all the managers, and we talked about variables, fixed parts, and then they educated each other on how the departments ran. So, just like the simple terms of effective labor rate, hours per RO, PVRs, and product penetrations, how they're all kind of the same thing. They're just selling different things. And then, honestly, how they both impact each other with the customer experience. That's another big thing. So just synergy, getting them all in the same plan.
So you mentioned your first point was hiring more women.
Yeah.
And you've had a lot of success doing that. What do you see as the operational outflow when you do hire more women and integrate them well with your organization? Like what happens to the process? What happens to the customer experience? And like, why are you so bullish on that?
He was like, you got another
Real
30.
question. That's the real question, though. Like, how does it change my dealership?
I'm going to tell you something. They're way more organized than some of the males in some of the positions.
Yeah.
I mean, look, my wife will cheer me on right now. She's way more organized than I am. They bring a different fire. Some people say they're not competitive. I think they're more competitive than men. Yes, I said that.
Yeah.
I think they're more competitive than men.
There you go.
And the other thing we realize is when you have a balance of 50-50, there's no difference there. And you'll realize that at some point, they're outperforming the males.
Wild. I love those are like three key things that it's like every operator, every general sales manager can draw a straight line to like being more competitive. Oh, yep, that'll help my store win.
Yep.
All of those types of things can draw a straight line to revenue and success for sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a little bit of a difference too in the customer experience when women are coming in to buy a car, and there's a little bit of a reception when they feel like they can relate to another woman, and even there's a trust factor there too.
Well, just think about it. 87% of that buying decision is influenced by women.
Yeah.
I mean, it just...
Yeah, you're like, follow the numbers.
The facts
Idiot.
are there. Yeah. Yes, but no.
I said it, you didn't have to.
I think it's a big deal, and I think it's not about making it male or female. It's just about giving them an opportunity to get in the game.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it sounds like good retailing practice as a whole to me. Eric, thank you so much for joining us here today. Let's hear it for Eric Barbosa, everyone.
Stay tuned, because next up is Jay Nieman, the head of sales at our presenting sponsor, TrueCar. All that and more when we come back to Live Tonight with ASOTU here in Arlington, Texas.
I'm a midnight mover. All night for you.
TrueCar has been a really good partner for us over the years to help us sort of identify some opportunities in our markets, as well as really convert more buyers into our longtime customers. My name is Eric Hertz. I'm the marketing director with Johnson Automotive, based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Working with the company itself over the years has been a really fun ride. As they've grown, we've grown. They're able to get us in front of a lot of customers that we may not otherwise have a chance to work with and create a relationship with. They start that good experience with the TrueCar process, and we sort of take that handoff and continuing it through our Johnson Automotive process. We're able to earn a lot of these customers as repeat business and referral business over the years. My BDC agents, my salespeople, they never hide from TrueCar leads. The quality's always there. They have that experience of working good quality leads, and they're always eager to work the next one.
Did you know that a website that loads in 1 second converts 5 times higher than a site that loads in 10 seconds? This data point is brought to you by AutoGenius, the industry's most progressive marketers and technology in one place.
Welcome back to Live Tonight with ASOTU, presented by TrueCar. Michael, here's the thing on that.
Right.
This is what caught me about Eric just a second ago. He's just over here just nonchalant, just going, all you gotta do is just kind of, integrate
Do the
them.
thing.
It just works.
I'm really glad that you clarified the transition he had gone through. At first I was like, whoop. You said he's gone through a transition in career. I was like, whoa.
In his career, right? Yeah.
Hey, whoa.
I was afraid we were gonna have to do some counseling there for a second. He was like, I'm just gonna take the couch, no problem.
No, by the end of it, I mean, he's so powerful. I love how he talked about mindset. I think by the end of it, the two of you would be laying on the couch and he would be guiding you.
Yeah,
through
we
a
would be
session.
like, okay, so teach us your ways. You know?
we want to learn.
All right, well, let's get our next guest out. He has been leading sales and client success teams in the auto industry for over 19 years. Spent a good chunk of his time at Cox Automotive, and now he is heading up sales at TrueCar. Everyone give it up for Mr. J. Nieman.
Hey, nice clean show so far.
Sit there. The first thing that we have to talk about, Jay. You think so, before you say fire away, but watch out. See, we've got a video camera over here. Can we get a close-up of these guys right here? Can anyone get a close? Look at these socks. Look at those. You see that?
These real nice socks.
Yeah, these pink flamingo socks. That's cold-blooded. That is coming in hot, ready to go. I'm impressed. Jay, thanks for hanging out with us, spending a little time with us. Yeah, and thanks for TrueCar for helping us put all this thing together. It's a big deal. Yeah, awesome. So tell me a little bit about, you have spent quite a bit of time in the auto industry, seen ups and downs on the partner side, and been working toward the success of dealers for a long time. What is exciting to you about this particular time? What are you seeing right now that is making you like, hey, I've been ups and downs, I've seen different times, and there are different parts that excite me. What's exciting you about right now in the industry? Hang tight, we're gonna check a mic real quick. Uh-oh, did we drop it? Hey, look, every once in a while, it must be your flamingos. Did we get it? Go for it, maybe?
He's out there, he's fixing it.
Nope, nothing.
Got a stick?
We got it? I can't hear you.
Stick?
It's okay. I can kind of hear you, mostly, but my ears are so tuned to this thing up there. There we go. Here we go. Slide it. There we go.
This is why I brought my tap shoes. For moments like this.
For moments like this, tap
Always
shoes
be
on
prepared.
point. Always
I
be
got tap
prepared.
shoes and a hula hoop.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, hey, everybody claps for that one. There we go. Excited about right now. Ah, see, that would have got him.
These are, back to your original question. I mean, this is a time where it's really interesting to me to just kind of see the innovation, the thoughtfulness of dealers, the scrappiness of dealers to really work through some of the macroeconomic challenges that are out there.
Yeah, and obviously your position within previously Cox Automotive and now TrueCar affords you the ability to see a lot of how macroeconomics are affecting dealers across the country. Because when you talk about sales, that's really kind of the people that are the front lines working with the dealers and understanding like what are the challenges that are needing to be solved by dealers? What are those macro challenges that you're hearing as you're touching base with dealers or in them right and in dealerships right now that you're helping them solve for?
Yeah, so I mean, I think one of the things we hear obviously is affordability, right? In terms of just the cost simply of cars, right? Along with things like interest rates, et cetera. So what we're engaging with our dealers to kind of talk about our brand partnerships that we have out there. We have over 500 affinity partners at TrueCar, and there's people out there shopping for vehicles. Yeah. And so we are engaging with dealers more so than we ever have in the past 2 or 3 years. We've really tasked our teams with getting out there and engaging with dealers on the systems that we have, the reporting that we have in place, the data that's there, the insights that are there, and getting in front of those dealers to make sure that we're providing that value to help them move more metal.
Yeah, I love that like it's how do we support dealers? How do we care for them? Get them the necessary information. And I think that like as an industry, and I spend a lot of times on the marketing, business development side, on the retail side. Sure. A lot of times we look at people that have two-sided marketplaces like yourself, where dealers and consumers, and in your case, the affiliate programs
Sure.
are all important parts of the data and the business and the way that you experience things. But all of them can leverage each other's data points to understand how to better serve each other.
100%.
What are you? You said affordability and interest rates and all the things that seem to concern dealers are also concerning, consumers. What is TrueCar seeing from the consumer side that's kind of informing some of those decisions and how you communicate with
It's a really great question. We have a brand new chief marketing officer at TrueCar. And one of the things we're really focused on is from the time that somebody hits our page, our homepage, we're pushing around 9 million uniques right now. We've seen a shift in terms of what people are looking for. We used to be about a 90-10 new car to used car. We're seeing now a 50 kind of used, 50 to new. Wow. And I bring up the marketing gentleman because he's really hyper-focused right now on just engaging with the consumer through, as the consumer's doing the search on our site, from the SRP to the VDP, to ensure that we're getting the right person on the right car so they can understand what that affordability looks like, so that they're not putting themselves in a position where they're looking for a car that they maybe potentially can't afford. And so it's really important for us to just engage with that consumer on that side to then make that connection for the dealer so that they can in turn sell the vehicle.
Yeah, and this shift from new to used has been not just since the pandemic is what I'm hearing from. I was talking to one of your counterparts that it's not just, because of inventory shortages or anything like that. You've seen on the platform for quite some time, since 2019,
yes,
that people are shifting to using this platform as a searching platform to match affordability and pricing and availability with their used car searching habits. So that's a shift, I think, in a lot of dealers' minds as far as what TrueCar means to their business operations, right?
Exactly, and it goes back to the original point when you'd asked me about like how we're engaging with dealers, how we're helping dealers. We have kind of a little bit, to be in full transparency, we've been a little bit in our bunkers, firing off emails and engaging from our home offices. We can't do that because those are the types of statistics and the things that we need to share with our dealer partners that in turn can help them market better to the consumer. And again, it goes back to we want to help them make money.
So you're trying not to be like the salesman in the monologue that we talked about.
So what's interesting is I was like, the first thing I say is that head of sales, what does that mean? That I actually can't sell anything, right? Because based on your chat GBT, it was like, well, that just means a guy that's managing sales doesn't know how to sell.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure you got that covered. Yeah. I'm not giving you that shade for sure. Let me ask you this: as someone that is kind of looking over the horizon, because of your ability to see that, what are you encouraging dealers right now, looking over the horizon, eyes up just a little bit, to be prepared for in mid to late 2023 when they're thinking about their inventory or their pricing or anything?
Yeah, I mean, especially on the TrueCar side, I talked a little bit about the affinity partnerships again. So really kind of, we have kind of a bit of a phrase at our business we call lead with, lean on. And so we want to help our dealers, and we want to get out and help them and train them on how to best utilize those leads, because as their inventories build up and as consumers get more educated in what vehicle fits for them and what vehicle makes sense, we can in turn help them do that, because we know that it's coming. I mean, some of these stores I go to have tons of new car inventory, others do not, but we know that it's on the horizon, and we want to make sure we're helping prep them for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hey, Jay, thank you so much
thank
for
you.
hanging out with me,
Of
giving
course.
us some encouragement, some insights from what TrueCar is doing. It's been a pleasure. Give it up for Jay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, hey, look, what would a live show be without a little bit of unpredictability? And we don't love to just talk to people inside of the industry. We met up with a gentleman that I'm not going to give his name away yet because you'll be surprised, but in the Marriott here right in Arlington, and asked a little bit about his car buying experiences. So check it out. All right, I'm standing here with the man, the myth, the legend. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Harry Styles, is it not?
Yes, it is.
And as soon as I asked, he said, no, seriously, it's Harry Styles. And you're not going to get a zoom in because we're not going to give you his driver's license number. But I verified that thing says Harry Styles right there. Harry, thanks for hanging out with us just a minute. We kind of wanted to just get an idea, like, when's the last time you bought a car?
The beginning of this year.
Okay, so pretty recently. Was it at a dealership?
It was.
All right, so tell me a little bit about just the shopping experience and like your experience going into the dealer.
Well, the shopping experience was pretty good. I can say that when I went into the dealership, the young lady that helped me, she was very helpful. I wanted a truck, and she tried to sell me a sidekick, and I was like, dude, I'm too big for that. So she ended up finding me a check like 3 days later. So it was a real good experience.
So did you do a lot of like shopping online before, or did you know where you were going and went there?
For me, I had a friend who had already been over there, and we talked about it for about a week, and then I went over there and seen her, and that was pretty much a good deal for me.
Nice. So a little bit of referral, a little bit of like, hey, we know what's going on there, that type of thing. So just a quick question. I'm guessing that wasn't an EV, but would you ever consider purchasing an EV or a fully electric vehicle?
I would. I really would, because right now, where I see things, gas prices is going higher, and we ain't backed by the oil no more, so we might be in some trouble. We might need everybody to get an electric vehicle, so yeah, I would.
Very cool. All right, so tell me, like, you've probably bought a few cars in your life. Car dealerships, some people love them, some people hate them, some people all the way in between, right? Like, what's your general kind of thought about how dealers are working in the world?
I'll say this, that it is a horrible experience. Their idea is just to sell. And they'll tell you anything to get you about a vehicle. So it's a horrible experience for me. It has been. I just happen to have a good one this time.
What would you say from the horrible experiences to this one? What were like one of the two of the things that set this experience apart as being really good?
She treated me like she was into me. It's a good thing. She gave me the feeling that I counted and I meant something to her. So that was the biggest thing.
That's a big deal. So like, it wasn't about what she knew about the car or what she could get done for you or anything like. It was like, oh, you're a real human, you're a real person. I'm caring about exactly what you're doing.
Exactly.
That's really cool. That's really cool. If you could encourage dealers with the best thing to do to continue to like be good for customers, how would you encourage them?
Make it understood that whatever they're buying, especially if it's a used car, that there is defaults in it. And if they can get people to understand that, they'll understand what they're buying and they'll buy it because you did tell me that.
It's a big deal. A little transparency goes a long way, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, Harry Styles, thanks so much for hanging out with us a little.
Welcome. Welcome. Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Vibe check. How we doing? How's everybody doing? Let's hear it. No, it's got to be louder than that. All right. That's great to hear. Okay, so we're going to keep the energy alive. We're going to keep that energy going. We're going to play a game called First Pencil, which is a high-energy retail automotive game show where two teams go head-to-head In a fast-paced battle of drawing and guessing, I think Ernest Hemingway wrote this. We're not done. In each round, one member of each team will be given a topic and 60 seconds on the clock to draw out their answer while the rest of their team tries to guess what in the world they are drawing. You picking up what I'm putting down?
It's Pictionary.
So you saying I gotta draw?
Yeah, you got to draw. Oh, yeah, you got to draw. The first team to guess correctly wins the round and earns a point for their team. The team with the most points at the end of the 3 rounds loses. Just kidding.
Yeah, we know how games work.
We know how
we
games
know how they
work.
work.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so
Things like
what I got clues here. I got clues here.
Can I
Paul,
introduce
Kyle.
you to my team?
Oh, yeah, you want to introduce the people who are up here? Kyle,
Yeah.
who's on your team here?
Well, you've already met Eric, the man, the myth, the legend, Barbosa.
Here we go.
Right there. And over here, you got Chris sharply dressed Singleton. Come on now. Come on.
You can't compete with this.
Look
you
at
can't
these
compete
guys.
with
Look
this.
at those guys. Full threads.
All right, Paul, who's on
Oh,
team
on this
Paul?
team, I got the winning team, by the way. We have Matt, who's never played a board game in his life. And we got my new friend Peggy, who we met at Kia of Frisco yesterday.
All right.
And she's the person on the front lines who actually gets the work done. So we're actually both just leaning on her to win this for us.
Okay, so here we go.
No pressure. No
He's
pressure.
throwing-
I told you I was
he's
going to get
throwing
you
shots
some
across
stuff.
the bow.
I'm
This
scared.
is the winning team.
I
So
ain't never
The
scored.
winning team.
you ain't scared. Okay, so first of all, get rid of these.
She says, oh,
All right,
wow.
here we go. You ready?
Ready.
I gotta get 60 seconds on the clock. Here is the first clue.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah,
Let's
no
do
words.
it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Express Loop.
EV.
There it is. Team Kyle.
Sorry.
Oh, there it
I heard
is.
that. That was on me.
EV.
Where'd you go? That lightning bolt was a little loose.
Yeah, that was great though. That was
What was the giveaway on EV? That looks like newborn giraffe learning to
charging
walk.
station.
What is that?
That's a car that just, you know.
I don't know. This is
A
already going the
one-wheel
wrong
car.
way.
I got halfway through. What do you got to say? It was going to be a great car. Rivian.
I mean, hey, team Paul. I mean, come on, man. You
I,
got some stuff
I told you who
there.
was going to win this game for us.
Okay. That's 1 point.
I'm
That's
right.
1
Here we
point.
go.
Let me come back to the center
Here
here.
we go.
Here we go.
All right,
We're
all right,
ready
hold
for the
on,
next one.
hold on.
All right. Somebody frame this for me, okay?
Aggressive, sore
Boom.
loser. Okay, you ready?
Yeah. Okay.
You ready?
She's-
Okay, I need 60
She's like, don't leave
seconds
this
on
to
the
me. All
clock.
right. Easy. I get to sit here.
Got it.
Tell me you're
Seconds
left-handed.
on the clock. Here is your clue.
Whoa, don't look at that.
Oh, no. He doesn't even look at me.
Just holding it up in
You
front
got
of
it?
us.
You got it? You got it?
I didn't see it, I swear.
60 seconds. Let's go.
Oh,
Snowman.
customer,
Circles.
person, happy, heart,
Chain links. Timing
heart,
chain.
lungs, breathe, air, lungs, tired, lung, what?
Chain.
Heart.
Draw something else. Hearts, lungs,
Chain reaction.
cloud,
Charging.
lightning,
Manufacturer.
tree, low, buoy,
Hole.
tree trunk,
Middle.
neck, neck,
Trunk.
neck, throat,
Bottom.
What do you say?
lungs. Oh, we're so close.
Flight chain. Flag chain. Supply chain.
There it is.
Supply
Team
chain.
Kyle.
Okay.
I'm just going to say this happened last time at the
Well,
year-end
did you know the
extravaganza.
last round is worth a lot more points?
Oh, is it?
It
It's
is.
worth all the points?
It's worth enough to win the game.
Okay.
Oh, no.
We did. It's
This was really good.
Okay.
all right.
We had a chain,
I had a throat
and then
a neck.
and then we had more chain.
Yep. And more chain.
Matt was really good at
Lots of
football in
arm
college.
weight. There was a lot of this. Slam right in the. There you go. Okay.
Okay, well,
Round
that's okay.
3.
Everyone's
How
no one's perfect.
confident do you feel?
Totally.
I need to see what it is.
Wait, are we allowed to do gambling in Texas? Is that how that's working? Or
I don't know.
confidence scales?
I came from a place you're not allowed to do anything anymore. So
He's from Canada.
All right.
yeah. Here we
it
go.
comes.
Are you ready? Okay, so let's get prepped with 60 seconds on the clock. I got to turn my back. I'm gonna turn my back like
Here it
this.
goes. We got the best. Save the best for last. Best drawers
You got
for
it?
last. Here it comes.
You got it?
Calling it.
Let's go, Peggy.
Okay, you
Okay.
ready?
All
She sounds confident.
So how you feel confident? Yeah.
You confident, Eric?
You good? All right, let's do it.
Give us some. He shrugs. All right.
Dollar,
Tire,
money.
donut, tire, lug nuts.
Money, cost, price tag.
Wheel well.
Price, invoice.
Wheel well.
Window
Wheel.
sticker.
Car prices. It's a car. Money car. Affordability.
Invoice.
Affordable cars.
Invoice. Bill of
Cheap
sale.
cars.
Dollar. Discount.
Finance
Lower
office.
prices.
Wheel and tire.
Low car prices.
Wheel finance. Roadside assistance.
I will finance.
Dollar. Finance.
Cars are expensive.
Customer.
Finance contract.
Special finance. Subprime.
Service bill. Headlights. I will.
Insurance. Tire and insurance. Wheel, tire and insurance.
F&I.
Tire and wheel. Insurance.
Finance and insurance.
Yeah. What was it?
Go.
Yes, he did.
Finance and insurance.
F&I. I called it.
Man, you guys circled around that.
We
You're
went
like, tires insurance. You just
tire,
start pulling
insurance,
words out.
wheel, finance.
Corn nuts and insurance. Doritos and insurance. You went
This was
everywhere.
really good, actually.
All right, but reigning champion, because I don't know if you remember, you're in extravaganza.
They did win.
2-1 to 1-2 to 3-2. What's the last round worth?
What is the last round?
I think it's like 1 point for the first 2 rounds and
That
3
was worth
points.
3
and
points.
3
I'm
points for
hearing
the
in
last
my
round, I
ears.
think.
Oh,
3
man.
points in his
I'm
ears.
hearing in my ears. It's worth 3 points.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Killing me.
So,
These guys.
All right.
We
Let's
won!
go.
Oh.
Round of
Say it.
applause. Let's give a round of applause to our players. Good sports.
Yes.
All right.
Peggy, you came through.
yes.
Don't go anywhere, because right after the break, we'll be talking to sales gurus Chris Singleton of the Mike Terry Auto Group at ASOTU Live Tonight.
Looking at the car wash. Oh, 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 yeah.
Join independent automotive dealers from across the country to accelerate your learning, planning, growth, and dealership success at NIADA Accelerate 2023 Convention and Expo. Take advantage of networking opportunities and valuable education from successful dealers and industry leaders. Get inspired by our keynote speakers and have some fun. Visit with solutions providers in the Expo Hall that can help you navigate the products and services available to help you reach your dealership goals. Whether you're new to the independent auto world or an industry veteran, invest in yourself and your dealership knowing NIADA is there to support you in your journey. Register and book your rooms at the Win Now, and we'll see you June 19th through the 22nd at NIADA Accelerate 2023 Convention and Expo.
Did you know that over 78% of salespeople who use social media to sell outperform those who weren't using social media? This data point is brought to you by AutoGenius, the industry's most progressive marketers and technology in one place.
All right, welcome back to Live Tonight with ASOTU, presented by TrueCar. Michael.
Having the time of your life or what?
Well, I called it.
You call
I
it.
felt like Babe Ruth on that one.
You play smart. You purposefully lose the first 2 rounds because you
On
know
purpose.
the last round is where you're going to come through and
You know
it's
me.
worth all the points.
You know me. I believe in Peggy. I'm excited to have her up later.
This
in
is
show,
the
but
strategy
for
I'm
real.
playing with the band, by the way. At some point, they will accept me as a backup vocalist.
Well, that's maybe true. Christopher Singleton is the COO of Mike Terry Auto Group and has over 15 years experience in the industry. He's an auto industry expert, best-selling author, and sales trainer. Chris has a passion for sales leadership and people. His mantra is impacting lives positively every day. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Christopher Singleton.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we had flamingo socks in the last setting, but man, you really turned up today.
Thank you.
Chris, welcome to the stage. Thank you for making the trip.
Yes, sir. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so, you know, we were going to have your dealer, Mike Terry, on the show. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it, but you were really quick to step in, make the trip, and I kind of get the vibe that that's what you do on a regular basis.
I do it often.
So explain the role. Like, what does your day-to-day look like? What are you thinking about? What are you taking responsibility for?
Well, I try to take responsibility for, if anything goes wrong, I try to take responsibility for that and give the other guys the credit. But it's essentially, we have 6 dealerships right now, and the ultimate objective is, you know, it's essentially like, imagine being a general manager, but for 6 dealerships. So we're, you know, everything from parts, service, making sure everyone sells cars, executive leadership meetings with the entire team to make sure that everybody's on the same page, rolling out company initiatives, just a lot of boring stuff.
So a lot of groups are getting bigger these days. A lot of groups are on the hunt. And I think the need for operational efficiency and really synergy across stores, and a lot of times bringing in new stores into the ecosystem, seems to be a common thread of what I'm hearing around. What are the things that you pay attention to when you're integrating one culture with another?
I think it's important to know your people. You know, oftentimes we learn about cars, we learn about the business, but really you're in the people business. So I think learning your people, their strengths, their weaknesses, their love language, if you will, how to motivate them, how to inspire them. I call it the difference between extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. Everybody's used to extrinsic motivation, which is, hey, if you don't do this, then I'm going to fire you. Intrinsic motivation is understanding your employees well enough to where you know what impacts them, what goals, dreams, and aspirations that they have. And then if they don't do something properly after that, then you can say, hey, I thought you said that you wanted to retire your mom, or I thought you said that you wanted to remodel your kitchen so your wife isn't after you. So understanding your people to be able to motivate them intrinsically is probably the biggest key.
Yeah, so kind of along the lines of that, you know, NADA, we saw each other there and spent a little time together.
Yeah.
And a lot of you here in the studio audience and certainly on the live stream as well, we're at NADA. And a common theme that we heard over and over again was this element of getting back to basics.
Yeah.
You know, that we had several years of really smooth sailing in one sense. And that was that inventory was scarce, that we could set the price, that the customers were finding the cars. And then as that balance starts to recalibrate, we've heard a lot of stories of people saying, you know, I have salespeople that never really experienced what it was like prior to the pandemic. And, you know, they came into my office and they said they had to think about it. What am I supposed to do with that? So you're obviously a sales trainer, and you pay attention to that process. What are some of the back to basics items that you are really focusing in on as we make this transition back to selling?
Man, I think that's a great question. The first thing is, I agree with you 1,000%. There's an aphorism that says, great times breed bad habits.
Yeah.
So really trying to unbreak those bad habits is really, really key if you're going to grow your dealership or your dealerships. So I think one thing is getting back to what we call selling the sizzle. So I think getting back to presentation skills. I remember selling the cars as a young man myself, and getting in the trunk for my customers and letting them shut down the trunk and showing the emergency
That's old
latch.
school.
You know,
Explain for the people on the live stream what that actually is.
Yeah, it's definitely old school or traditional. I like what my man said earlier, traditional. But I would get in the trunk to demonstrate how much space that there was in, let the customer shut down the trunk, and then I would let them pull the emergency latch. And then I would get out and say, man, you enjoyed that a little bit too much, Mr. Customer. So it was really...
It's a little show.
Right. It was really about, you know, getting back to the show. The days of, well, it's available, that is the only sales tactic that you have. You know, that's out of the window. So I think getting back to taking care of your customers, what does your follow-up look like? do you genuinely care about your people? I believe in empathetic leadership, and there's 3 levels of empathy, which is what I try to instill in my people. So I think the 3 back to basics are following up with your customers, making sure that you have empathy for them and their plight, whatever they're going through, and really getting back to great presentations and entertainment.
So what brands does your group represent right now?
So right now we have Ford, Dodge, Chevy, and Nissan, and Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
And of all those, who is in the best inventory position?
Who's in the best inventory position? I would probably say Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Yeah.
And so I've been seeing and hearing that some dealers across the country saying like, starting to hear some familiar narratives that we all said and hoped we wouldn't go back to. A little word called incentives. Mm-hmm. And so how are you feeling? Like, what are you seeing with incentives, and how are you reapproaching that topic that really hasn't been something that's even been part of our vernacular for the last 2.5 years?
Well, incentives, I'm not super opposed to them, because anything that benefits the consumers or can motivate them to want to purchase, then that's ultimately something that's good as a dealer. I think that it's important to be knowledgeable about what the incentives are and be able to share those with customers. I'll say that the salespeople that are, we don't sell just based on price alone, because dealerships, we live in such a, there's the Vox Populi is very large here in Dallas. I mean, it's a lot of people, and there's a lot of dealerships that have popped up. So I think it's important to make sure that you understand what the incentives are, but ultimately just take care of your people, and no matter what incentives that there are, people will come see you.
Okay, so last question. We got a little bit of time left. There are a lot of philosophies, a lot of sales philosophies out there. So I want you to give the dealers out there what you think they should focus most on. Now, granted, some people are going to agree, some people are going to disagree, but what are you hanging your hat on? What hill are you willing to die on?
I think dealers should focus most on their employee culture. If you take care of your employees, they'll take care of their consumers. And I think that that's something that many times we forget to do it. We skip right to taking care of the customers, but happy employees create happy customers. So what are you doing to make sure that your people have a great quality of life, that your managers are treating them well, that they get compensated competitively, and just really take care of your people. Make them happy, they'll make the customers happy.
Well, that's great. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Chris Singleton. Follow this man on LinkedIn. He's always paying attention and giving back. Well, we're giving power back to the people again as we hit the streets. This time, we caught up with the general manager of the Old West Cafe right here in Grapevine, Texas, to see what she had to say about the car buying experience. All right, so we're here at the Old West Cafe with the general manager,
Carrie Howard.
Carrie Howard. And you were just so great to give us a spot here. We want to ask you a few questions about the car business. Okay, surprise you a little bit there. So you're in hospitality, so you know what it takes to serve people. What are the things that you lean into to make sure people have a good time and a good experience here?
Good food, good service, friendly hospitality, and honesty.
Honesty, that's a good one. So let me ask you a few questions about your perception of the car business. Do you own a car?
Yes, sir.
What do you drive?
It's a...
It's all right, hard question, I know.
A Ford Explorer 2020, sorry.
And how long have you had that one?
About a year.
And where did you buy that car? Was it at a dealership?
It was at a dealership, yes.
And of your experience buying that car, what is your overall perception of buying a car at a dealership? What goes through your mind when I say that?
Pain.
Okay, pain. What kind of pain? Why? Why is it an experience that you're like, ooh, cringe at?
It's just a long process.
And why do you think it's so long?
I'm not sure.
Do you think it should be shorter?
Yes, sir.
And what do you think about it that could be shorter? Like, what are the things that draw it out where you're like, it shouldn't have to be that way?
Pre-qualifying online is nice. So when you get there, you just pick your car and be done.
But you don't, because obviously it was painful. So what does your husband say about the car buying process? Like when he was buying that Explorer for you and y'all were talking about it and he came home with it, what was kind of his takeaway from that?
Long day. He said very, very long day.
Is he the kind of person that likes to negotiate?
Oh, yeah. He'll negotiate a good deal.
Does he enjoy that part, or is he just good at it?
He's good at it. I don't think he enjoys it, but he's good at it.
And what does he do for a living?
He's in concrete. He works for Nelson's Brothers Concrete.
So does he negotiate as part of his job?
He is quality control, so he goes and puts out fires.
So he's not afraid of a little conflict.
No, not at all.
So it's almost like a challenge for him.
Yes, sir, every day.
Okay, if you had to buy a car and your husband couldn't help you and you had to buy a car, where do you think you would start?
I would try, my son recently just bought a car and from, I think, CarMax, and he went online, pre-qualified. We walked into the dealership. We were there maybe an hour and done. So I would probably do that.
You would go to CarMax.
Maybe not CarMax, but any place you could do online to get pre-qualified and not have to sit at the dealership for 4 hours.
How much time do you think you should have to spend at a dealership? If you go through the process of pre-qualifying and picking your car, what do you think is a reasonable time from the time you show up at that dealership to the time you drive out?
Maybe an hour?
Sounds about right. I mean, I think that's kind of a target. See, you said you didn't really know or have an opinion, but then you just said, oh no, I had this really great experience, and here's what it was. Well, thank you so much for being so hospitable for us today and sharing a little bit of your insight.
Of course, thank y'all for coming in.
Did you know that digital advertising spending is forecasted to reach over $600 billion in 2023? This data point is brought to you by AutoGenius, the industry's most progressive marketers and technology in one place.
Hey, welcome back to Live Tonight with ASOTU, presented by TrueCar. Can we please just give it up for this amazing band, y'all? Al Kutri and the Troublemakers, everybody!
Oh, yeah.
Listen to it.
Stank face.
Come on, give it to it. Yo, that was like the perfect little halfway through the show.
It was.
Just
Cirillo, I saw you
hard.
trying to get in on that ending.
He's like, I'm gonna sing.
Michael, your family's here tonight.
My
aren't
family's here tonight.
Where are they
Wow,
at?
look
Right
at that.
here,
Can't
right
see
here.
it.
What's up,
It's real
Cirillo?
bright.
All
Hey,
the way
family.
from Canada. That's right.
Should we do that? We can't do that. We
They
didn't
broke
do the
free.
other one.
Yeah.
This is their free from socialism party.
Michael, can you tell the joke?
That got all the car
tell us,
dealers
it
in the
did.
room.
Everybody
That
here's
was-
laughing
You
now.
already told the joke.
Tell us the border joke.
The border joke?
Yeah.
What's the border
What's the
joke?
similarity between Canada and Texas?
Oh, yes. So when we moved here, everybody said, you know, Canada and the United States have something in, or Canada and Texas have something in common. I said, what's that? They said, we both border the United States.
Get him. Can we get a stinger on that?
Come
that
on.
one's for free.
That one was for free. Well, hey, look, our next guest spends her days on the front lines of the auto industry, literally the front lines. Peggy Harrison is a mother, grandmother, and the most diligent PDI tech and inspector you'll ever meet. She works for Kia of Frisco, just north of Dallas, Texas. Please welcome our friend, Peggy Harrison.
Maybe you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. Baby, you can drive my car. And baby, I love you.
Miss Peggy, we couldn't be more excited to have you hanging out on our show with us. How you doing this evening?
I'm actually good, thank you. How are
Good,
you?
good. I'm wonderful. We met you yesterday.
The best part of this is we didn't know Peggy 36 hours ago.
Right.
This is what it's like being around us. You never know what you're getting yourself into.
You never know. She's like, oh, so I'm going on a show tonight. Sounds good.
Showed
Done.
up.
She's like, I was off today.
Nobody
so
warned
here
her.
we go.
She showed up.
Peggy, you have just a couple amazing stories, and we've gotten to know you over the past couple days. But real quick, I said here in your little intro that you're a PDI tech.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people inside and outside the auto industry that probably have no clue that what that means or that it even exists within our industry. So talk to us a little bit about what that looks like on a daily basis for you.
No, need to make sure we get that audio. I want to make sure we hear you.
Oh, okay.
Hold up.
Hold up. Uh-oh.
Not yet, not yet.
Same.
Keep trying.
Same thing. Keep talking.
Okay.
There we
there we
are.
go. Okay.
Hey.
First of all, the PDI tech is it stands for pre-delivery inspection. So what it is that I do is once the trucks come, the cars come off the trucks, I take all the plastic off of the cars.
Paul's favorite thing.
That's
Very favorite thing.
Look, we filmed this TV show yesterday, and I made her walk me to the very, very back of your lot at the Kia store so I could peel some plastic.
Yes, he did.
Because I know my 14-year-old daughter, that is a job she would love.
Okay.
okay.
And I go through and I inspect the car. I make sure that all the functions on the car works. I make sure that the speeds are good. I make sure, just the little small details that nobody really thinks about when you get in the car,
But everybody would notice if it was wrong when they take delivery,
exactly.
right?
Like, hey, my radio is not working.
Right.
Or I can't make a phone call.
Oh, hold on. I think we lost your audio again. Let's try that one more time. Okay. Do we need to get a handheld or a different mic? We're calling
There we go.
Drummer was nodding at me, like, give me the go-ahead to start tapping.
Give me that.
Little tap dancing. There we go.
All right. Okay, yeah, just like, they get in, it's like, my radio is not working, or they say, oh, I can't make a phone call. Well, it's my job to make sure that it all works before the car gets delivered to the customers.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So tell me, how long have you been in the auto industry? You just got your inspector's license, but how long have you been in the industry and kind of doing what you're doing?
All total, I've been in the industry for 3 years. But doing the PDIs, I've actually only been doing that for I believe it's 2 months.
What were you doing before that?
All right.
Before I was doing that, I was the porter, actually, at Kia Frisco.
Another thing that we could take 3 minutes to talk about, but we won't do that.
No. But Kyle and I always say that if you want to know anything about a dealership, who do you ask?
You talk to the porter, right?
The porter
'Cause you
hears
hear
everything.
Everything.
Good and the bad.
Yes.
Good and the
We
bad.
won't, if anybody's watching from your store, they're like, don't ask her about stories because I told her something. Right? But you've got some stories of your own, and I think that what's so cool about just getting to meet you and getting to meet so many people across the industry is that it doesn't stop for you at just, oh, that's what I do with cars. But you, you have had your life impacted, people's lives impacted around you, your family's life impacted by being a part of the auto industry. What about the dealership life, the dealership culture, the role that you're in or the dealership that you're at means so much to not just you having a job, but everything else that's important about life?
Well, the people that I work with, it's like a family.
And you described that to us yesterday. What does that mean particularly to you? Because a lot of businesses will say oh, we're a family here. You see on the job post oh, we're a family. What particular about Kia Frisco and the people that work there? What are the things that are markers that say this is what family means to us?
Well,
or give an example.
I'm gonna share a story. My own
love
story.
it. Let's do it.
Real quick. I was going through some issues with a person that I was with, and I needed to get me a place to stay. And trying to balance work and life is hard sometimes. It really is. Well, the assistant general manager, he has an open door policy. If you need to talk, he'll sit there and he'll listen. And I have gone in his office, closed the door, and just cried, about a lot of things. And he gives me a lot of advice. And also, excuse me, like I was telling you yesterday, when I was promoted to PDI Tech, our general manager, James Seal, he was like, yeah, great job, congratulations. And when I got my inspector, state inspector license, he was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, So they are willing to help you through life because they understand you're human, and they understand the ins and outs of life. And it's not like some places they'll make, oh, well, it'll be okay, you know, just get over, well, I need you to do my job, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
No, they actually will sit down with you and try to come up with solutions to help you, not just with the job, but in your personal life.
Do you think
So
it
that's what I mean,
surprises?
family is.
Do you think it would surprise other people who don't know much about the car industry that that's actually how your experience is inside a dealership?
Yes, I do.
Why do you think that?
Because when most people come into dealerships, they're coming to buy a car, first of all. And they're not thinking about, you know, a business being a family, especially a big dealership being a family like that. But we're with each other majority of the day.
Yeah.
Like sometimes 6 and 7 days a week, depending on, you know, what you have to do. So family, yeah, we get into it about stuff, just like any normal family, you know?
That's right. That's how you know your family.
Exactly.
That's right.
You ain't never arguing. You're not a family.
Exactly. You get mad, walk away, and then a few minutes later you come back,
But you
okay,
love
I'm
each other.
sorry. You
I
know, I didn't
guess.
mean to say that, you know?
Yeah.
So, but the normal person outside of that wouldn't know that unless you were on the inside because they see the exterior. They don't know the interior.
Yeah, that's really good. If you could give an encouragement to people that have maybe never thought about the industry, that are watching this or see this later, that have never thought about getting in the auto industry or working at a dealership, what's an encouragement that you would give that person?
Just try to find your place there because everybody has a place there.
Yeah.
No matter who you are or what your background is, you have a place there. So just test it out. Just go and look and see because you never know. It might become the best thing that you ever did.
Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me that the backgrounds and the diversity and the differences of opinions that find themselves in retail auto are as wide as they are deep.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And it's a testament to us that like what you've done, what you've been through, and the stories that we've heard from you, and we'll share more of those as time goes.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be on the TV show.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for sharing a little bit of time with us,
Not a
Peggy. Everybody give it up for
Cheers,
Peggy
Peggy.
Harrison. She's amazing. Well, hey, we love it when dealerships are involved in their communities. And hey, when we come back, we get to hear from a local events director, Stephanie Brogan. So stay tuned.
Did you know that conversions can fall by up to 20% for every second in delay that it takes for a web page to load on mobile? This data point is brought to you by AutoGenius, the industry's most progressive marketers and technology in one place.
Hey, welcome back to Live Tonight with ASOTU, presented by TrueCar. Listen, Cirillo, I could talk to Peggy for like 3 hours and never get bored. I don't know about you.
I was just captivated, partly because she took my microphone. But the other reason was exactly what she's saying. You don't realize, like you had pointed out, that this is a big family.
Yeah. Well, we've had
Big
conversations, and we're going to get to share these conversations, but we've had a ton of conversations where people have told us these deep stories, like just saying, hey, look, there are offices that I've been in that I've just been able to sit and cry over the real stuff of life with my managers, with other people in the dealership. That's not That's not what people see on the news stations or on TV or in newspapers about dealerships. Like, that's the real stuff. That's the everyday. That's the 9 to 9, 7 days a week that sometimes happens in our industry, especially at dealers. That's the story that we're telling. You know?
That's how the whole Troublemaker band is going to feel when they finally accept me, because they'll see me cry and shed a tear.
Yeah, and I can't wait, because we've been scheming. The Troublemaker band, they actually don't know they're now in the auto industry, so they're gonna have to be like everybody else. So
that's
just
what this was, the whole
exactly. You're actually in the industry. One day, 5 years from now, you'll have the same story as everybody else. It'll be like, well, there was this one time, and then I just kind of tripped and fell into the industry, and now I'm here. Yeah, I'm in the finance office. Don't know how it happened, right? Well, hey, our next guest has spent over 12 years serving communities and nonprofits, and most recently became the treasurer and board member for the Tom and Susan Durant Foundation. She's also currently in charge of community events at Classic Chevrolet, one of the largest Chevy dealerships in the country. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Miss Stephanie Brogan. Stephanie, welcome to the ASOTU Live Tonight stage.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you. We met somewhere between half an hour and 45 minutes ago.
Correct, yeah.
We got to have a phone conversation the other week. I'd love to hear from you. Your job title is directly about community events. That's it. That's the only thing you do at the dealership. You're not selling cars, servicing cars, anything like that. Community events. Was that something that you started at the store, or has it been something that's been going on for a long time?
No, honestly, it was never on my radar. When I entered into the automotive world, I started as a cashier in our service department.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the owners of Classic Chevrolet, Tom and Susan Durant, decided that they wanted to challenge a group of the employees to come together and start giving back to the community. And
really?
Yeah. And
so
that's where it
you were
started.
kind of a part of that initial, when was that?
Yeah, so that was 12 years ago. We are currently stepping into our 12th year. And the first year, it was everybody, right? Like, it was just a collective of everybody wanting to help in some capacity. And year by year by year, we now have a board of 5 members, but our team is collective of 13 employees at Classic.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. So what's the rhythm of that team? Like, how, obviously there's a foundation now. I just kind of read that, but you've got the foundation, but what's the rhythm of that team of like seeking out and finding ways to be involved in the community?
Yeah, so this is our first year being a foundation.
Okay.
So all previous years to that, every person that is on our team is a director of a different asset through the dealership, right? So there's BDC and there's service and there's sales. So you're getting so many different perspectives, which is so great. And then we just kind of flood the streets. We have an amazing community that we bounce ideas off of, and our sponsors and our vendors that come, I think some of them are sitting in the audience tonight, honestly.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So you've actually drawn together like industry partners and vendors to go, hey, we're doing this thing. Let's go into the community together.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you're on the ground doing this year that you're most excited about getting involved?
All right, so in 2 weeks, we have an event coming up. So that's where I'm plugged in at right now.
Okay.
We're just hitting the ground. We've got a wine tasting coming up, and all the proceeds are going to 13 nonprofits in our community.
Wow.
But our biggest event that we have is our golf tournament. We have an annual golf tournament. We run 2 18-hole courses, which means you have almost 300 golfers that
That's
come
some
out.
full logistics,
Yeah.
let alone the money that you have.
Yeah, that doesn't even count for volunteers, any vendors coming out. So it's a really big deal.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, so a lot going on.
Mhm.
And I think what's so interesting to me is this is not something that most people think of a career path.
Right.
And getting into auto to run community events.
Yeah.
Right? That's not the way that people think. Why do you think that is, that's not something that's normal, that's consistently talked about outside of the 4 walls of the automotive industry?
Yeah, well, I don't know if maybe it comes back to just traditional ways of, like the owners of our dealership, Tom and Susan, they're very humbled by all of this. And so for them, it's not about stepping out and getting the accolades of it. But now that we're a foundation and now that we're seeing true impact being made, it's important to talk about. When Tom and Susan challenged us and when the dealership came together, the coolest thing that set us apart was they said, Tom and Susan said, we will match every dollar the team raises.
Wow.
So over 11 years, we've raised $4.5 million.
That's incredible. We got to give a hand for that. That's absolutely incredible. I think that's something that's really interesting that you don't hear. You know, in other industries, like it's on the front page of the retail store or whatever. It's like, this is how much we do. This is what we give back. And in auto, it's interesting because even though we're so deeply ingrained and deep a part of the community, whether it be through funding or our people getting involved in stuff, it's just something that a lot of owners, frankly, just say, hey, we don't need to talk about that. We're gonna do it because it's important to us, but it doesn't have to be blasted on the airwaves. And I appreciate that from the humility side of things, but I think it's something that as an industry we have the opportunity to talk about in a really equitable way. How do you do that well? Because obviously there's the side of this that is doing the actual thing, but how do you do it well and sharing with the community or sharing with the automotive community what you're doing?
Well, I think first and foremost, we make it human. Right? So we introduce our nonprofits to these people. I mean, it's firsthand, there is a need out there. And so when you're able to put it out on a very human level and go, they're in need just as much as you might be in need in life, there's a connection immediately. We are so fortunate to be able to connect with so many local businesses in the community that we can share their stories. We can use our platforms out there to share their stories. And I think it really tugs at people. You know, the last couple years, people are trying to bounce back economically, socially, and so I think everybody kind of has a little bit of that feeling inside, you know, that they've been through something. It's a connection.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
If there's someone listening to this and they're maybe in a dealership, they're in a cashier role or they're in a sales role or anything like that, and maybe they're like, man, this would be really cool to start up at my store. Or maybe I'm wondering, how would you encourage that person to start building what you've been fortunate to build?
Yeah, be bold. Be bold and go speak with people. Create a story and a real story. Have a connection with a person because you're going to learn a ton about them.
Yeah, that's awesome. What when you're working within your store to communicate this, what are some of like the practical things that you're doing to make sure that everybody, I mean, you have a big organization. We talked to one of your executives earlier today, 400 people across just your Chevy store in the classic organization. What are you doing to make sure that everybody's kind of tied in and feels a part of what you're doing?
Yeah, so I know something that we implemented a couple of years ago was introducing it right away in like the new hire packets, right? Yeah. So as somebody new comes into our family, we want to introduce them to all the sides of the dealership, both your job and the philanthropy side of it. So I think that's a really big role. Our family at Classic Chevrolet, they're all in. They donate out of their pockets too, which is incredible.
That's really cool. Yeah. If someone wanted to get involved with Classic Chevrolet and individually, whether maybe it's another dealership that wants to link arms or it's an industry partner that wants to do that, what's the best way for them to get plugged into what you're doing?
Yeah, give us a call. Research Classic Chevrolet. We have the TASD Foundation.givesmart.com website up, so they can go there, they can get connected with us and become a partner.
That's awesome. I can tell you have a passion for this. You're excited. You've been doing this for quite some time, and I'm excited to just like, now that I have a window into what you're doing, be able to watch that grow. So thanks so much for joining us and hanging out with us
Thank
today.
you so much for having me.
Coming up next is a true champion of dealership culture and driving big trucks. You're in for a treat when you get to meet Eric Hall after the break.
I will be saved from all my inventory problems if I just keep doing what I'm doing. I hope. With VinQ, you don't have to hope they'll go away. You can solve your inventory challenges.
But how?
VinQ will manage your entire inventory lifecycle on one platform from point of acquisition to point of sale. It's easy to learn and easy to use.
Changing is really that easy?
It is, especially with VinQ's talented team of automotive industry veterans. Solve your inventory challenges now at VinQ.com.
Did you know that digital selling has driven content consumption up? The average number of views per piece of content shared increased by over 200% during the pandemic. This data point is brought to you by AutoGenius, the industry's most progressive marketers and technology in one place.
Welcome back to Live Tonight with ASOTU, presented by TrueCar. Michael, I don't know what we're actually doing. I think it might just be a recruiting campaign to get some people into automotive. It had me thinking in the backstage, like, where would I put everyone in the band in the store? Like, where do you think Al is going to land in the auto industry?
Oh, he's at least a shuttle driver.
Oh my gosh, that's the best. Actually, you're right. Al would be the best shuttle driver ever. I think his retirement plan is actually be the guy that drives that little bus at Disney or that long train. And couldn't you see him doing just really well at that? I think so. I think Thomas, the music director, you're obviously an operations guy.
Yeah.
All day. What's Steve back on the drums? Where's he fitting in?
Yeah,
finance.
He's somewhere.
I don't know why they said that.
Knows nothing about Steven says finance. I love that.
Finance.
All right, well, where are you putting Adam, the guitar player? Because he's going to wear the sunglasses anyway.
He's in the service lane, and he's going to play the guitar and sing to people and lure them into trades.
Sounds like an Austin dealership to me.
Yeah.
Well, we have two guests left for you tonight. Right down the road in Grapevine, Texas, Eric Hall, the internet director at the largest Chevy dealer in the country, Classic Chevrolet in Grapevine, Texas. He's nearly 15 years experience overseeing the dealership's website, analytics, digital advertising, and social media platforms. But more than that, he's driven by cultivating an exceptional company culture. He's a true operator. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eric Hall. Oh man, look, how many people in the audience actually know Classic Chevrolet? Right, everybody. Oh, we got the fan club in the back. We got the fan club in the back, but you are the largest Chevy dealer in the country, for those that might not know, right?
Correct. So we've been the largest for the last 3 years, including
Who did you unseat?
I had to go back in and think. It was, I want to say it was maybe Sarah Whalen, one of the Michigan stores,
okay.
I believe.
Okay.
So
you're not keeping
there's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple of stores that we're. Yeah.
Well, tell me this. So, explain your everyday role. Like, what does your day-to-day look like? Because I think that context matters for where I'd like to go.
Yeah. So it's actually just kind of changed here in the last couple of weeks. Going through Dealer Academy. I finished Dealer Academy last July.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So Tom has moved me over to the pre-owned side so that I get better perspective of all different avenues of the store. So if and when the time comes for me to take that opportunity, then I'll have more than just the internet side of it. But for the last, let's see, I've been at Classic for 18 years, was the internet director for the last 10, and before that, I sold online. So
you sold cars.
Oh yeah, I'm selling cars. I still sell cars.
Yeah.
Today.
There's something that was very striking when I visited Classic during NADA, and also when we came back and visited this morning, and that's the fact this word keeps coming up, and the word was fulfillment. That multiple people said, and I said, is that actually a part of like your values or your mission? Because people kept saying the word, and it's not.
Nope.
Where do you think that comes from? Because you're obviously very operationally focused.
Yeah.
So how does tight and like meaningful operations tie back into people saying that they feel fulfilled?
So I think it goes to kind of our motto, if you will. Tom pushes us to be the best at everything that we do. And when it starts at the top, and our owner, Tom, and Stephanie did a phenomenal job of explaining their heart, him and Susan's heart, and it really is with the family. We talk about a family, but I've been there 18 years, and we've got sales guys that have been there 25. We've got a service writer that's been there for 32 years. So you don't find that. Our average tenure in our salespeople right now is sitting at about 8 years.
Wow.
We did bring in some new blood over COVID, so kind of levels that out. But when Tom's in the dealership every day, and he walks through the shop and he talks to the shop, he talks to the sales guys, it's him broadcasting that same motto of being the best at everything, because that's what he does, whether it's his horse racing or the car dealerships. It's all about being the best.
Well, let's take that now, and let's overlay something like incredibly practical or tactical almost.
Okay.
We haven't talked about used cars yet on the show. It's something that is very near and dear to your heart, right? And is also something that's right in our faces as an industry every single day. Pricing
Absolutely.
is crazy. We're trying to track it and follow it, know what's going on. A lot of focus on buying cars off the curb, which means just buying cars directly from a customer. If you're on the live stream, you don't understand that. Hey,
Come by the store. I'll introduce
teach
you
you
to
all
I'll
about
teach
it,
you
I'm
our
sure.
buying center tent.
Okay, so tell me, what is your used car strategy right now?
So-
and I want to try to leave dealers, because everybody's in the used car game and everyone's trying to get better at it right now. So what can you leave with us about your strategy? Because obviously it's winning, it's very successful.
Yeah, it started kind of during COVID when as inventory levels dropped off. We had to come up with a plan, and the best thing about being in the car business is it does not matter what happens, we pivot.
That's right.
I'm not going to pick the couch up because we're not going to do the old pivot thing.
Yeah,
but it goes to that point, right? You've got to find a way to make it happen, and that's what we did. Our GM at the time said, "Hey, we ain't got anything else. We don't have the inventory. Let's put a tent up, and we'll put signs up by the road that say we buy cars and see if we can buy cars off the road." So we did that. We started with a little 10 by 10 pop-up tent and a folding table and 3 chairs and laptops, and literally sat out by the road. And people started driving in. It was the craziest thing. And fast forward probably about 5 or 6 months. I think we've talked about the tent before. So we actually ended up renting it's an 80 by 30 pavilion style
rented
tent.
it from Cirque du Soleil when they were done with
Pretty
theirs,
much.
right?
We rented it from the company that rents them to the State Fair of Texas. Everybody knows everything's bigger in Texas, and the State Fair is one thing. So we actually had to give our tent back because they had it rented out for the State Fair. So we ended up buying one, and that's what it says today. But now we've acquired everything. I mean, we've talked about trailers, boats, RVs. We've literally, the RV that we have now just on the back side of the tent, we took in on a trade. And so that's our mobile office. I mean, we print checks right there when the customers come in.
So let's get a little more tactical. Do you give you give people an aggressive price?
Absolutely.
Right away. And so it's an instant appraisal. Can they do that online, or is it just in person where they get that?
No, they can do it online as well. And we actually use 2 different tools to give our consumers the ability to compare, because not every one tool is the best, right? I don't think there's any one tool that's the best. And when you're giving comparisons from third parties, if you only got one, it's not not necessarily as transparent as having another offer, right? So we actually have 2 trade tools. So when a customer says, "Well, how come my trade's so low?" Well, let's take a look at what this company says versus what this company says.
Wow, so you put
and
2
here we've got
competing
3,
ones.
right? So it's A, B, and us. And we've actually tied in, so if they come in on Saturdays during when the tent's primarily open, We've actually partnered with the guys from Gimme the VIN, and we've got one of the Gimme the VIN wholesalers right there. And you know, if our price isn't good enough, he'll step up and they'll buy it right from them too.
So did you start out by doing the two comparison prices and your own? Did you start out that way?
No, we originally only started with one. We had one trade tool and then ours, or then us. So.
What happened? Because I think this is a really interesting strategy. I haven't heard this being practiced much, but what did you see when you implemented that two-tool strategy?
So a lot of A/B testing, and we actually just kind of switched because we were noticing that one of them was getting the primary usage, and a lot of people would just take that as an exception, right? So the tool to the right, people read left to right, so that one on the left was primarily the one being used. So we flipped them around, and sure enough, now this one on the left is more use. So. But it's really a lot of times I think the salespeople will use those comparisons more so than the consumer is what we're seeing.
But you definitely saw an increase in purchase cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's an interesting one. It's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being so open-handed with your store. And if you don't know, Eric's the kind of guy, if you find him on LinkedIn, he will help you at any moment. So make sure you reach out to him for all the tips because you are the biggest Chevy dealership in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Eric Hall.
Coming up is a man who is more likely to be confused for a cruise director than an auto dealer. By way of Cuba and then Miami, we're going to introduce you to Texas Audi General Manager Pedro Palenzuela.
Hi, my name is Todd Caputo, and I've been in the retail automobile business now for 30 years. I understand it better than anybody. At a small scale, from a family-owned business with 1 or 2 or 3 stores, or at a large scale when I work for a publicly traded company, when you're done working with me, you're definitely going to see an improvement in your overall operations in your business, especially when it comes to used cars. My goal is not to stay at your business for a long period of time. I don't believe I'm doing my job unless I can get in, put some good changes in place that are repeatable, that are scalable, so you won't need me to come back. I'm gonna walk your dealership with you. I'm gonna walk the lot, I'm gonna walk the service department, I'm gonna walk the wholesale row, and I'm gonna not just talk to you, but I'm gonna talk to your people and really find out exactly what all your challenges are, spend some time there and make sure that I'm a good fit for you and you're a good fit for me. You know, if you're a vendor and you've got hundreds or thousands of people working for you, it's extremely challenging for you to get to have your people understand what a car dealership is like on a day-to-day basis. If you think I can help you at all in your business, please give me a call or fill out the form online.
All right, welcome back to Live Tonight with ASOTU presented by TrueCar. We have one guest left. It goes so fast. It goes so fast. Michael,
Everybody's at home like,
he's already
well,
packing his stuff
we're
up.
tired of seeing Cirillo, so we'll just pack it up too.
I'm enraged. You know why I'm enraged?
Insane with anger.
I'm enraged because I know that the minute I get into the car to drive home tonight, my son Dallin is going to ask me where Eric Hall buys his boots.
And I bet they're not cheap.
No, and then I'm going to text Eric and I'm going to ask him how many teeth my son has to lose for the tooth fairy to pay for them.
So much. Is that true, Dallin?
There's some fly.
Is that true, Dallin? I know it. I know it.
He said yes.
Well, one of the things we were super excited about tonight is that this is our first evening live stream.
Yeah.
Right? So we kind of check, and there's just like 100+ comments on the live stream. And we know a lot of our families, you know, and the families of the people on the stage are paying attention. So we do just want to say, what's up to our families who we know are gathered around the TVs right now. And Mom might be excited to put some of them to bed.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, my family is watching tonight, and I know that it's a little bit of late bedtime for them, but I'm thankful that they allow us and me to be out here doing this, sharing with the industry, bringing some of these incredible talents and stories. And you know, every time I go back behind this little wall after I've done an interview, I'm just like, man, I get to have conversations like this. This is
I know.
it's
Well, I don't
incredible.
think our families really know what we do. Like we were talking about this with the band. They were like, yeah, people said like, what are you doing? And we're like, well, we're not really sure, but everybody seems really excited
I
about
heard
it.
something about Pablo Escobar's old airplane. That's all I know.
I don't know. There you go. Well, let's get into our last guest. Pedro Palenzuela is the general manager of Audi Grapevine, a Miami native. Pedro brings his love of people through the front doors of his store every day. Rumor has it that the last place you will ever find him is actually his office, as he spends his time on the floor with his team and his customers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pedro Palenzuela.
There he is.
No flamingos, I have to say. After the suit that I saw you in yesterday, I didn't know what to expect tonight.
Came conservative.
Okay,
There you go.
yeah, it's his first
It's like,
go
look,
around.
This is a show.
Next
We're
time there's
doing
going to be a
show,
hat.
right?
I have a wardrobe change in the back though, if you need.
Just in case.
He's like, pause the show. I got another one.
Hold on, I got one. Pedro, thanks so much for being so open-handed at your store yesterday, Audi of Grapevine. Beautiful store, amazing staff. And you do things just a little bit differently.
Well, look, I started this business when I was 20 years old. I dropped out of school. Not a favorite person walking into my house, especially with my father. And I learned at a young age that this business is about people. Not just the people coming into the showroom. I think Chris mentioned it before. It starts with your employees. So even though I'm a college dropout, I have a PhD in people. And I can read people, I get along with people. The number one thing when I walk into a store, I try to create a culture to make people feel at home. We spend too much time there, so if you come to my house, I'm going to entertain you, I'm going to take care of you, cater to you, whatever you need. And that's the way I try to take both the employees and the customers.
Well, I can vouch for that, because yesterday we show up at the store and he's like, whoa, hold everything. Does anyone need water, coffee, anything like that? And you know what you normally get? Everybody walks you back to the Keurig in the back. He goes, anybody need Spro? Which in my world is espresso. And I said, absolutely. 3 minutes later, he walks out with a little glass. He's got a biscotti. I'm like, I'm in somebody's house right now. This is exactly what it is. It's that energy, you know?
So look, it's all, people say sell cars. I know this might sound like a cliche, but it's building relationships. And there's a difference when you sell a car, you buy a car.
Yeah.
Maybe some people don't understand that, but selling sometimes makes people nervous. Relax them, make them at ease. They'll buy from you.
Yeah.
Come back to you. I've been doing this for over 40 years. I told you I started when I was 5, just in case anybody wants to do the math. No.
29.
Now I'm selling cars to great-grandchildren, grandchildren. You don't do that unless you take care of them.
Yeah.
So that's.
We're going to switch that mic out again.
We're going to do that.
Just cutting out in on you.
It's time, everybody.
Tap shoes and hula hoops.
Dun, 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 dun.
He's brought hula hoops now.
Who did?
Someone give me the walking music next time.
Yeah.
Okay, sound good?
So tell us this. There are operationally minded general managers. There are sales-minded general managers. There are people-minded general managers. Why do you spend so much time outside your office?
Nothing happens in my office. Why am I there? See, right now, there's so much data out there, info. You pick up your phone, you pick up a computer. But the thing about that, everybody has that. Every dealership has that. Customers have that. Customers walk into the showroom, they know more than we do. But what they don't have is that individual. All cars look alike now. Nobody makes a bad car. So what's the difference? Kyle, Paul, Pedro. So that's why I spend all this time just out there meeting people, learning about them. Like I told you yesterday, I know a 2-door from a 4-door car because I'm good at math. I can count real quick. But don't start asking me about horsepower and all that. But I make you feel good there. I encourage everyone to get to know you. I want to know how many kids you have, where you eat, what your hobbies are. And I think that's a big difference. And everybody knows that this is what it takes, but not everybody does it.
Right. I think a lot of people would agree with that. I think there are a lot of people who would say things like what you just said, but why don't they take it the next step? Why do you think?
Well, I'm glad they don't, because then they. No, it's just
Is it hard?
It's not that it's hard. It's something that I'm very passionate. Okay, and I live it.
We've noticed, by the way, everyone's seeing, like, I don't know if someone gave you some Dramamine before you came out, but when we saw him in the store, I mean, he was
Hopping,
just
moving
running
around, grabbing every customer, right? Just doing.
Look, if I'm there, I talk to everyone.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
I try to talk to everyone. I don't let anybody leave. I don't like to see anybody unattended. And that's the number one thing that I ask from anybody that walks there.
How do you take that and make sure that that's an adopted personality trait of the dealership, of the organization, where it's in the DNA and ingrained into every person, so that matches for every experience?
Well, the first thing I do is I don't tell anybody to do it. I lead by example. So I get there and I start walking around, talking to this person, talking to that person, getting everybody involved, and they see that. They see that from the minute I walk in. The first thing I do, I walk up and down all the rows like I showed you yesterday, high five everybody, ask them how their kids did yesterday in the basketball game, whatever, technician, parts. And then I'll talk to every customer there. I don't care what part of the deal they're in. I'll go in, interrupt, and I just talk. And I don't talk about the deal.
Yeah, right.
I don't. I can, and I will. But the main thing is just to make them at ease. Make them at ease. Like I told you yesterday, the day before I went to the dentist. That's the worst place in the world for me. And I know a lot of people think that we're worse than going to the dentist. So I try to make them feel the way I would like to feel when I go to the dentist.
Yeah.
Because I'm there, I'm nervous. I go there.
Right.
I'm shaking. I'm shaking. So, and I know people get out of their cars. Honey, you sure you want to get in there? No, you go first. No. So.
I think I got a call.
Yeah. So again, it's just, look, it's all about taking care of people. It's not that difficult. Nothing's changed since Henry Ford started this business. We didn't have phones. We didn't have computers. I didn't mean to say that I was back there with Henry Ford. Okay.
Me and Henry, when we used to
we
go
get
off,
it.
again,
You're 33 years old. We understand.
So it's offensive to me.
So it's just making people feel good. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do. Positive energy.
Well, I couldn't think of a better way. We started with Liza Borges leading us off. Love people more than you love cars. It's clear, Pedro, that that's your passion for this industry. From the first time I talked to you to this conversation and the way that you lead your people. We invited all, just so everyone knows, a lot of his people are watching this, so he can't mess around because they would call him out tomorrow morning, I guarantee it.
You want them to.
No, they won't. They won't do that.
Well, Pedro, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for kind of wrapping our show with us. Hey, in case you don't know, we've been spending the last couple of days shooting a brand new TV show, and we were in Pedro's store. We toured a few dealerships telling their stories, and hey, catch a little sneak peek.
honest.
No clue.
Well, we'll be premiering the first episode of ASOTU Digs, or whatever we call it, on May 2nd. And we're having a big premiere night at Tampa Theater. We've rented out Tampa Theater, which is magnificent.
Yep.
And we're hosting.
So 1 month
event.
from today, we won't be doing exactly this, but we'll be in a theater again.
It's gonna be
We
movie
wanna
night.
Invite so many people out. Movie night,
Happy hour,
dress
swag
in
shop.
Your high names. We got a swag shop, the whole
I
nine.
think the auto industry likes to dress up. We're going to give them a reason to.
Chris Singleton definitely does. You know,
He goes to sleep like that.
We
Those were his PJs.
Yo, we saw some shoes, some flamingo socks. We saw the whole 9
We
yards.
saw some
today.
diamond encrusted things. It's this premiere is going to be on the first day of Digital Dealer. So if you're going out to Digital Dealer, this is what you're going to do after the first day. If you're attending the conference, please come out and join us for a fun night.
And thank you so much again for joining us here in the studio, at the theater, and for watching at home. We love bringing our industry together and having a chance to have a bit of fun together. We're truly honored and grateful that you would choose to spend your Wednesday evening with us.
So you can catch us again in Tampa on May 2nd. We're going to do this again in Atlanta on June 14th, or just join us in Baltimore in September for the big ASOTU Con. We're looking forward to lots of new guests, games, and good times. We'd love to see you there. We want to take a quick second to thank everyone on our team and our crew. Let's hear it for the team and the crew for all their hard work over the past few days and making sure all this is put together. Let's hear once more for all our fabulous guests.
Come on
you
out.
guys,
Your
we're going to
guests
bring
are
them out
here.
on stage. You
They
all
can
crushed it
come on
tonight.
out.
Let's get one more round of applause. It's Texas side. Thank you, Texas. We hope you have a good night. Come on.
Hey, hey.
Right here, right here.